Hello and welcome to the Pinstripe postseason mortem episode. My name is Ryan Sampson, the host and producer of the show, but he is the star of the show, Joel Sherman. Today is Thursday, October 31st. It's Halloween. The Ghost and Ghouls are out. The Yankee season is dead and over, and we're here to talk about it, break it all down as the Yankees fall in the World Series to the Los Angeles Dodgers, 4-1 in the series after an epic collapse in Game 5. We're going to break it all down, like I said, and if you stick around and listen and watch the Pinstripe Post. But before I get to anything else, Joel, it's been a long season since we started this entire show. How are you feeling after the World Series just wrapped up?
Yeah, I think that's the wrong question. The question is, how are you feeling?
I'm still a little raw right now in emotion. I still can't believe what I watched last night. Considering I know you're probably going to jump on me a little bit for the way I'm going to react, but you've warned us all year long about how this team and how they play baseball so bad, and it just culminated into whatever that was last night that you want to describe it. It's use any adjective. It's the worst thing that possibly could have happened in the most inopportune of games. And what you've predicted all along and what you've said about this team and describing them came to fruition.
Yeah, my thing is the Bill Parcells line: when players show you who they are, believe it. The Yankees spent a season, and really it's multiple seasons now, Ryan, where this is not the record shows it. I used this statistic in the column I wrote on Deadline last night, late into the night, which is the Yankees have played 15 postseason series starting in 2017. They are 7-0 against the AL Central. They are 1-7 against the other teams. The one win is a single wild card victory against the Oakland A's, who spiritually are an AL Central team. They won one World Series game this year. It was a bullpen game where the Dodgers used their three least effective pitchers, right? And maybe even their four least effective pitchers. Kind of the AL Central of strategies, if you will. When the Yankees have to play a team that is as close or as talented as them, then all the stuff that they're terrible at, where you have to be really good, comes out. And they are not good at it. This is seeing the tornado outside of town and not leaving town, right? Oh, there's the tornado. Maybe something good will still happen. Will it? It's coming straight for us. The Yankees know why they get eliminated every year. Or if I'm a Yankee fan, I would be more worried they don't know why they get eliminated every year. And the lesson they'll get out of this is we have to hit more home runs and miss more bats. That will sound like an attack on home runs and missing bats, which are essential if you're going to be an excellent team. But there's no reason, as the Los Angeles Dodgers just showed us, that if you have a $300 million payroll, you can't have it all. Where you have home run hitting, you have a long pitching staff that misses bats, but you also play the game technically well. Can I give you one more data point?
Yeah.
The New York Yankees hit the ball off the outfield wall 3 times in this series. Once was to the right center field, is a clear double for Juan Soto. The other time it went over Mookie Betts' head, and Mookie Betts on both occasions held the Yankee runner to a single on a ball off the wall. If you go to a baseball game that the Dodgers are involved in early enough, Mookie Betts is taking live fungos off the wall every day. That is a Hall of Fame caliber player who is working on his craft every day. I will tell you an anecdote shared with me by a Dodger official about Mookie Betts. In spring training a couple of years ago, him and another outfielder were doing an outfield drill where they were taking balls off the wall, gathering, spinning, and the idea was to throw one-hop throws to second base. One of Mookie's was offline, and Mookie yelled out a curse word. And the other outfielder was like, what is going on here? The other outfielder, who no longer plays for the Dodgers, took one more ball and went in. Mookie Betts took 25 more balls in spring training doing that, because for him, perfection of the routine is the only acceptable outcome. And he's a Hall of Fame level player who doesn't have to do it. And in this series, which was overshadowed by Freddie Freeman's greatness in the plate and Shohei Ohtani's, like general personality and some Dodger pitching at the end, like Walker Buehler coming out, Mookie Betts played as well in right field in this series as you can play, including the play with the fans. There's a play down the line where he holds Alex Verdugo to a long single, and on the next pitch, Gleyber Torres hits into a double play because he's held the double play in order. He respected 90 feet. This is a great player who doesn't have to do it. And Mookie Betts is a technically brilliant player on both sides of the ball, besides that he could hit for average, besides that he could hit home runs, besides that he has a great arm, besides that he has wonderful speed. You have to decide when you want to be great at anything, but certainly Major League Baseball at the highest level, you have to work on the routine over and over and over again. And you have to find the enthusiasm for it and the reason for it and the pride for it. Because the reason for it is it's going to matter all the time. And then it's really going to matter in the games that matter the most. And the Yankees have neglected this at the highest level for a long time. So when there is not another team with their talent level, AL Central, they can survive it. They'll hit enough homers. They hit 3 homers last night, Ryan. That would have beaten an AL Central team. The Dodgers didn't hit any home runs last night. The Dodgers won the game of the World Series. The Yankees, I don't know if they'll look in the mirror about how they teach the game from rookie ball up. I don't know if they'll look in the mirror about what they emphasize in the major leagues. I don't know if they'll look in the mirror about their ability to hold each other to a high level of responsibility and accountability. But these are the areas they're failing. The Dodgers scouting report on the Yankees are they have great talent and execute poorly. Put pressure on them at all times. That is their actual beginning of their scouting report when they reported to their players. And it played out perfectly. On the bases, in the field, they knew who the Yankees were, and the Yankees were who we thought they were.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. Part of me wonders, are you? And I think you're summarizing what the Yankees are as a whole and what they teach and how they preach to their baseball players and how they're going to practice, how they approach every game, being accountable for when you make mistakes, adjusting when you have to, teach professionalism, all of these things. Juan Soto is not Mookie Betts. Let's be real. And the Gold Glove finalist was a bullshit thing this year. He's never going to that is a big difference there. Juan Soto will give up doubles, but Mookie Betts is going to make you have a single every single time when you hit a ball in right field, no matter what. That's just how he is.
But if I could just jump in, Ryan.
Yeah.
Is you are what you emphasize.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees emphasize missing bats and hitting home runs. You know who else emphasizes that? The Dodgers. But the Dodgers also play a button-up style to talk to their people. I talk to their people all the time. They are relentless about the 90 feet. They are relentless about knowing the weaknesses of the other team. You do not, one of my examples I always use is Tino Martinez. You do not have to be fast to be a good base runner. Tino Martinez got every base he should get. If he should go first to third, he got it. If he should score from second, he got it. There are limitations. Juan Soto has limitations that Mookie Betts doesn't because Mookie Betts is in the 1% of 1% of athletes on this planet. But there's no reason why you cannot play technically sound still within it. Anthony Volpe is a great athlete. Do you know what has exposed itself over the season? Don't confuse stolen bases and desire with being a good base runner. Anthony Volpe is not a good base runner. He makes a lot of mistakes on the bases. He got away with some stuff because he knocked balls out of people's hands. But he got picked off. He should have had an out against Cleveland. And by the way, again, because I know part of the Dodger scouting report was that Volpe got backpicked 5 times this year. And they had a whole series of plays set up to backpick him if the situation came up at second base, right? Now, the Dodgers know that about Anthony Volpe. Why did it not get cleaned up over the course of the season?
Because it's an acceptance of this Yankees system.
Again, You are what you emphasize, and you can't be what you either don't believe in or don't see. And I think the most influential people with the Yankees, very talented people who help them find players on the margins and understand the macro way to score runs and prevent runs, have no respect or understanding of the nuanced game. And so you are what you emphasize. What surprises me and has always surprised me is that Aaron Boone is the grandson of a major league player, the son of a major league player, the brother of a major league player, and was a major league player. And the fact that he has not emphasized cleaning this up, that he's either drank the Kool-Aid or he doesn't care, or his whole thing is a kumbaya clubhouse where nobody gets criticized. And maybe is some of that Aaron Judge generally doesn't like any negativity in the clubhouse, or their mental skills guy thinks that's the way you pollute a team if you have too much negativity in the clubhouse. I don't think telling somebody they've done something wrong, explaining why, and holding them to a high standard is negative. It's realistic, and we are not doing milk break in kindergarten. We are playing for the highest levels in a sport that millions and millions of people care about.
Right.
And the standard that the Yankees have accepted for many years, notably this one, is underwhelming when it comes to playing the game well. Because playing the game well is repetitious. It takes pride. It takes concentration. It takes a group to say, this is important. What you are, what you emphasize. The Yankees don't emphasize this, and they pay a price every October, maybe most painfully this one, because if they took care of the ball, they would have won games 1 and 5. Now, I don't know then how game 4 would have played out. I don't think the Dodgers just would have fed their worst relievers in that game. They would have been in a more desperate state. But there were 2 games on the plate where if they just play technically well,
they could be tied. They could have been up 3-2 in the series, or even down 2-3.
Who knows? If they win game 1, the series plays out.
Joel, they had a 98.6% chance of winning that game yesterday, 5-0 in the fifth inning.
Phillies were watching the game. They're winning 5-0. They're playing their game. They've hit 3 homers. Cole's pitching great.
Cole's pitching phenomenal.
50,000 people are going crazy in the crowd. And then the 5th inning starts to spin away. And with all of it, Cole gets punch out, ground ball to first base. Ryan, again, I hate to be self-referential. It's the lead to my column last night out of the game. I encourage all baseball fans to go to spring training. It's a great thing to do. You see the game in a different way. You can go early and watch the drills. Then if after the first 10 days or so, games begin, you're closer. There is nothing done in spring training more often than pitchers fielding practice. It's literally the first day, and it never stops. Within pitchers fielding practice, no play is practiced more than 3-1. Ground ball to the first baseman, pitcher covering. What happened on that play? The most routine of routine plays. I get it. It's a squibbed ball. It's Mookie Betts running. But Anthony Rizzo had enough time to still, even holding back, if you see the picture of when he picks up the ball and where Betts is.
He still could have run to first.
He could have run to first.
Absolutely.
Cole's thing about, I initially went after the ball thinking I could get it. Now, if he did, he needs glasses. Because the ball's 30 feet away from him. I think Cole was walking off the mound.
Absolutely. He was running towards the dugout. Come on.
If the thing was over. You are what you emphasize. There is nothing gone over more from literally the day balls and bats and pitchers and catchers arrive than pitchers fielding practice, and within it, the 3-1 play. And the Yankees are out of it. And out of it in the most stirring way if he covers first base, right? Bases loaded, no outs, top of the order. You're going to get Ohtani and Betts to close it out. 50,000 people are about to be totally unleashed. All those pitchers aren't on Cole's arm. The way he pitched yesterday, you might have gotten a complete game out of the guy.
Absolutely.
Right? Complete a 3-1 play. You could tell me squib ball, all that. That's all bullshit. It is a relatively routine play that is practiced more than any other play in the sport. One guy didn't alertly say, I'm not going to assume the pitcher's covering. I'm going to field and go. And the other guy decided to walk off the mound. At that point, then something else happens. Inning is spinning out of control. How do we never get a mound visit?
What the hell was that? What the hell was that? Because that's another thing that pisses me off about this team. You see your ace out there. He is struggling. He knows he fucked up in that situation. And you can see he's wearing it.
After the game that, he was spent. The excuse Boone gave why he didn't cover first base. And again, I think Boone is misserved by bullshit when he does this stuff where it's like when you do incredulity, you lose credibility, which is, well, he didn't cover first base because he was exhausted. All right. Go talk to him now that it's 5.
Get Matt Blake's ass out there and talk to him.
And Freddie Freeman is coming up. Let's take a deep breath. Freddie Freeman gets a hit. It's 5-3. You're still
in it. You're still in it.
Come out and take a deep breath. That the Yankees group froze in that moment. Again, these are not the hard questions on the baseball SAT test. These are, you got to ace these. No pun intended on Cole. And by the way, Cole could have even said like this to the dugout.
I think he was doing it. How many times did he go to the rosin bag? You could see the man was like physically possessed the first 4 innings. He didn't have any emotion. He was there as a statue and he was mowing these hitters down one by one. In the 5th inning, when that thing starts to blow up, and after he couldn't get first base and didn't cover, and that entire fuck up happened, the next batter, he should have been out there, Boone or Blake, and be like, listen, buddy, calm down, because Rizzo shouldn't be the one going over there calming him down. It should be your pitching coach to say, listen, bud, we know you struck out those 2 guys. We know this is you're still in this. It's only 5-1 at this point, or even 5-3 after the Freeman single. You still have a chance to get out of this inning. Let's calm down, give you a break here, take a breath, and let's execute. But that is what this franchise and these managers and the bench coach and all of them, all accountability. That's what you keep asking about, Joel. Where's the accountability? Where's the self-awareness? Where is all of this? And I don't know if it's there. I think they are so arrogant in what they do and how they think, and that they're the Yankees. We're the New York Yankees. We're going to bash you. We're going to strike you out. And we're going to beat you because we're the most talented team put together. And that, to me, the arrogance has been the reason for 14 years now that you haven't won a World Series, going on 15. And this ultimately was the compilation of it all. That 5th inning was an absolute, utter disgrace. I hope it is burned in Cole and Boone and Volpe and Judge's minds the rest of the offseason, because they deserve it.
So here's the thing is, the Judge error is, I don't even really understand it.
No. He was looking at, why was he looking at who was at first? Why was he looking at the first base runner?
I don't understand it. But again, it's a physical error. Volpe hurries and spikes to throw with, I think, where he only had his only play.
I disagree. I think he could have thrown a second.
I'm not positive about that. But again, let's give the Dodgers credit and wonder how many players would have run as hard as
Enrique Hernandez. I know.
Did from second to third. Would our friend Trent Grisham or Gleyber Torres or Alex Verdugo, how many of them would have been? Because again, the scouting report of the Dodgers was put pressure. The Yankees will I think the term they use will self-harm.
Implode.
Self-harm. They will create harm on themselves if we give them a reason to create that harm. Right? And they did, and Volpe hurried and spikes the ball. But those ultimately are physical errors. They're not great physical errors, especially Judges.
I think it's more mental fortitude, though, Joel. I think it's more mental error. I think Volpe's rushing that.
I get it. But those are errors, and we see errors. The not hustling to first base, Rizzo, the not covering first base, Cole, that just falls into baseball unforgivable for me.
Because it was 5-0 still, and you could have gotten out of the inning with nothing.
It's a terrible play by Judge, and it's a hurried bad play by Volpe. But I see that teams make that play. Those are physical mistakes that you see. The most practiced play in the sport from the first day of the season. It's almost fitting that that's the play. That it wasn't like, oh, a missed cutoff or
Right.
something like that. Literally the thing you do most from day one and should be reasserted. Do they reassert it? I don't know. I look, this probably got uh, under the skin of a lot of people who listen to this watch the show, Ryan, and we're always thankful for the audience we've gathered this year. It perhaps became redundant, but I have had a theme from the very beginning of this year, and this was the theme. And so one of the things I know none of these guys can say to me is, oh, we didn't see this coming. Anybody who says that is either a liar or an idiot, and I'll give them their choice of which one they'd like me to brand them. Because this has been overt. It's been overt. And I think you use the word arrogance, and I do think the Yankees have arrogance about them. But I think when you're a hammer, you see the world as a nail. And I think the Yankees are a hammer that see the world one way. Is that arrogance? Is it like being myopic and not being able to see the big picture, which is, this other stuff? Because what I feel they do when it comes to fundamentals is they check boxes. Did we go over the play?
Yeah.
Did we do this? But there's a difference between checking it and caring about it,
Yeah.
and actually telling guys why. And I actually remember saying to one of their people who I really like midway through the season, I said, you will never do this and you will hate this idea. But I said, I've watched a half a year where you guys do such bad stuff. I said, I would put it on, instead of the college football game or whatever, the NBA game you have on the multiple screens, you should just put this on an endless loop on your screens and say to your players, this is what we look like. Like, I remember there was a time where, do we go back far enough? So Boone didn't, Girardi benched Robbie Cano, I think, for not running a ball out. And then
we talked about this with the Glaber thing.
And he said he showed a clip of it to Cano, and Cano was like, oh, that's what I look like? Again, are you a liar or an idiot? You don't know what you look like jogging to first base? You don't know. You don't know? Really? You don't know? Again, I'll call you an idiot. That nobody dealt with it before it became a crisis where you had to sit a guy. So this feels endemic for a long period of time, and you're either correcting it or condoning it. And this is where we are with the Yankees. I think they check the boxes on what they have to baseball-wise, and they emphasize hitting the ball out of the park with with great exit velocity, which means great swing speed, and missing bats, which means throwing the ball hard and spinning it hard and shaping it well. And again, they absolutely should do that. In 2024, you will not win at the highest level without those things. But the Dodgers are here to tell you, you better have the other thing also. You came to a fight with a knife and a gun, and they came with a knife, a gun, and a
bazooka,
and an Uzi.
Yeah.
Like they had things you didn't have. Go look at the final line for this World Series. The batting averages were near equal. The Yankees had the advantage in ERA. The Yankees hit 2 more homers than the Dodgers. I think it was 9-7. The final score of the World Series was 25-24. I know some of that was outdone by the bullpen game, but there was a lot of evenness during this. The separation in this World Series was how they played baseball. Games 1 and 5 are, what's on Santa's early Christmas gift list? Let's give away 2 baseball games. That's how they lost 2 actual World Series games. How do you sleep at night?
I don't think they will.
You've waited so long. You're telling us you're a championship or bust team. And what actually wins championships, besides the stuff that gets you there, is being buttoned up and doing this well. And they don't do it well. I doubt they'll learn this lesson. I think they'll all the same people will be back doing all the same stuff.
Joel, what happened to the self-audit last year? That was a total bunch of
That was
BS
awful.
last year.
Yeah, that
Right.
was something that stalled people out so that
Because
they whatever. But
because
by the way,
guys
the
like you,
audit was about their analytics. It wasn't about this.
but it was
an
also
analytic group studying their analytics.
well, it was about the analytics, but it was also about how they were teaching guys to hit in the minors. Remember, this is what we were talking about, how they were developing these younger players, teaching these guys to hit the ball out of the ballpark. That was their system. They didn't give a shit about striking out.
But I think every organization at the highest level is talking about like hitting the ball hard and with great exit. Like the Dodgers are doing it also. So to me, the analytic thing was not about this. This was almost about, like, I would have rather bring in an 80-year-old guy who watched baseball 40 years ago and say, like, guys, you're going to spend a lot of money on, this analytic group. Let me tell you 10 things I watch all the time about how poorly you play baseball. Can I tell you one? Nobody will notice it. This will be an old man on the lawn thing. Okay? I'm going to tell you but I watch all the games in a way to ask, what is going to the Yankees are really good. Like, this was another theme all year. Good enough to win it, right? How many times I say they're talented enough to win it, and they might be in the way. And so I always watch a team this talented and say, what would keep them from it? There is a pop-up to Anthony Volpe. I believe there's a runner on second base. And Jazz Chisholm turns his back to the pop-up and just starts walking towards the infield. So the play is behind him. Now, this is the most routine of routine pop-ups. It's not caught like 99 out of 100 times. It's caught like 19,999 out of 20,000. But what else do you have to do on the field? First of all, there's a runner on second. Go stand on third base. And watch the ball land in his glove. If it didn't, if he had an Aaron Judge moment there where it hit the heel of his glove, the runner would have gone to third base. Like, I would just ask this question. If I were running the Yankees, if I was in the dugout, if I was another player on the field, what was the value of what you did? Now, it was no harm, no foul. It was the most routine of routine plays. So's a ground ball to first base where you don't cover first base. So's a fly ball to center field that you don't cover. You're either emphasizing it and saying it's important. You're going to do it right. Why would you turn your back on a pop-up? Like, I'm hitting people going, what is he doing? What is he doing? And again, in the scouting report for the Dodgers, on balls in play, there will often be times where Chisholm is either in the wrong place or not moving at all. Now, you could say he's new to third base. All right, we're going to play the biggest games ever. You better do that tutorial better, and you better have a student who's listening, right? I talked about this, I think, last time we were on, because we've been on since game one. That side saddle play by Gleyber Torres, that was not the first time we saw that error. It was literally done against Kike Hernandez when he was a Red Sox. And I bet you I could find 5 other times. And that's a ball that does not need to be side saddled. That wasn't like that was a long backhand. That was close to his body. Goalie it, step back, get a clear hop, go out and go get the ball. But you know what you got to do? You are what you emphasize. And that is not emphasized for Gleyber Torres. He doesn't emphasize it, and the team has done nothing about it really for 6 years.
It's an acceptance. It's an acceptance from the coaches that allow them to do that.
It's worse than acceptance, because at the highest levels, and look, I would put parenting into this, Ryan. You're either correcting it or you're condoning it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just accepting. If you don't tell your child when they're doing something blatantly wrong, that they're doing something blatantly wrong, here's why, and here's what I think we need to do moving forward so that you don't do this again. This is an unacceptable behavior, right? Whether it's your 7-year-old, 12-year-old, whatever, or your second baseman, to say, this is unacceptable. I will stop playing you. I will demand your trade, because I got to have my head hit the pillow at night and know that I am GMing the team, managing the team, coaching the team. In the case of Aaron Judge, the captain of the team, that this all went on. That is culture. And the culture was not to care about 90 feet all year. They just give away 90 feet like they don't give a fuck. And in the end, it killed them.
Okay.
It killed them. I'm not sure. I do think the best team won the World Series.
Yes.
but the best team didn't need to win this World Series.
No, and you had a rare opportunity with an Ohtani banged up. The Dodgers did not have good starting pitching. I don't care what you say. Like, Yamamoto's good, but Flaherty does not impress me that much. And you had better starting pitching. I don't care what anyone says. You had better starting pitching. You had the ace. You had him dominate for 1 and 2 games, game 1 and game 5. There's a couple other stats here. So I want to say something with your first stat you brought up, actually, to start the show. If you want to go back to 2013 for the Yankees, they are 6-0 in playoff series against the AL Central, 0-6 in series against all other postseason opponents. Record-wise, the Yankees are 19-6 against the American League Central teams in the postseason, 10-24 since 2013 against other postseason opponents during that span. That is 14 games under 500 in the postseason since 2013. That's an 11-year span for this franchise in the postseason. So we've known they beat it up on American League Central teams. But when it comes to the Astros of the world, even the Orioles of the world, you can put in there, and you talk about the Dodgers or whoever you want, this team fundamentally cannot match what those other teams are doing fundamentally. So it's an acceptance, and this is where I want to ask you about with Aaron Boone.
Can I just add to that stat before you do the Aaron Boone thing? This season, they played 770 ball, including the postseason, against the AL Central. They played 520 ball against everybody else. That's just this season. Now, there's a lot of beating up on the AL Central, but what the AL Central doesn't have is the length of quality of a lot of the coastal teams, right? Like, you look at game 1 of this series, the Yankees almost get out of the 10th inning with a pop-up by Ohtani and intentionally walking Betts. But there's Freddie Freeman, who's one of the best hitters in the world. If you get Bobby Witt out or you get Jose Ramirez out, the chances of Kansas City, Cleveland scoring are so dramatically dropped. And then inning after inning, I mean, the Yankees do have good pitching and good pitching philosophy as far as plans and stuff like that. They can hold you down. And for the most part, they hold the Dodgers down even. But the Dodgers just have more weaponry like the Yankees do against Cleveland, where it's like, we made a mistake. Stanton will hit the homer tonight. Soto will hit the homer tomorrow. Or Judge, sometimes we'll get 2 in a game. There'll usually be multiple runs. And who cares about the mistakes? We out-homered our mistakes. But now you got another guy who's 6'5", 250 in the ring with you. And you're not fighting this guy 5'10" and 185.
No, but let's bring in the guy that hasn't pitched for a freaking month and have him face in that spot. Again, mind-boggling decision at that point in game 1. You gave that away.
Why didn't we make more of a big deal that he didn't just keep Weaver
We
in? talked about Hill and Cortez. But to me, like, the idea that Weaver had thrown 20 pitches, to me, it's like the top of the order. This is your best reliever. I don't know. I felt like we didn't make enough of a big. We really made this into a Hill Cortez discussion, and I'm not sure it's not a Hill Cortez Weaver discussion. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely right, and I'm sure Boone's going to be kicking himself for that. But the Aaron Boone aspect of this, right? The guy's been killed his entire tenure with the Yankees because of the way the teams have fallen in this postseason. They don't hit. The mentality he allows these teams to play with, the arrogance, the accountability that we haven't seen, and we just know Aaron Boone's never going to accuse his players or accost them in the public eye. But I wonder, and this is something for you that you've been covering baseball forever, and I don't mean that in a bad way. The Yankees, for me, 2017, that will always forever stick in my mind. They feel they were robbed by the Astros because of the cheating. Joe Girardi had this mentality, and I understand Girardi has his faults, but he had this attitude of, we're going to be professional and we're going to be the Yankees in a certain way, right? Clean cut, suits, all that. Like, that's how he was. He was a very militaristic style of way of managing. I feel like the Yankees felt that they had burned their opportunity in 2017. They went the complete opposite route in hiring Aaron Boone, a first-time manager at the time, and say, we need to have someone that's going to support our players and not bring them down when they make mistakes. I wonder if they've gone too far into that realm of what you're saying. We don't want milk at lunch for kindergarten or whatever. This is a mentality that the Yankees have accepted. If they're going to make mistakes, they'll be fine because I know Gleyber Torres is going to get on base for me at a 300-plus rate. And that's what I need. And that's what I count for more. But you're ignoring the fact that when Gleyber lays a cutoff throw or Gleyber needs to be pinch run for, that's one thing, Joel. How many second basemen in baseball have to be pinch run for in baseball? I've never heard of it. I've never heard of a second baseman being pinch run for in a key situation.
There's certainly been second baseman pinch run for, and that second baseman should probably be pinch run for. He's the worst base runner in the sport.
Right, but that's
right?
Again, that's the acceptance.
If he would have gotten picked off there or something, we would have said, why wasn't there a pinch runner in? Let's go to the Girardi thing real quickly here, which is this feels a little bit like a girl you used to date a long time ago, and suddenly you're forgetting all her bad qualities and you're pining for her. Joe Girardi, if we're going to play the arrogance game with the Yankees, let's start there, okay? And let's not forget that for the Phillies to become the Phillies of the last few years, they needed to fire Joe Girardi. Like, if you want to make a Rob Thompson argument to me, if you want to make a Carlos Mendoza argument to guys who are on the bench, I could make those arguments way easier than I could make a Joe Girardi.
But I don't think Joe Girardi loses that game last night at all.
Right. Well, or they don't get there because they're so uptight all the time. The thing is, do we really, this is again goes to, if you hit home runs and miss bats, does that mean you can't play baseball? Why are we doing extremes? If Joe Girardi is one extreme and Aaron Boone is a kumbaya other extreme, like I'm the Yankees. I don't have to live at extremes. I think the Yankees overreacted to Girardi by emphasizing that nothing negative ever get in their clubhouse. And I am a big one that if you told me a hard truth, I would not take that as a negative. I'm a 60-year-old man. Like, would a 24-year-old athlete, 28-year-old athlete who lives in this social media, you know me, I don't read the social media.
Right.
Like, I don't, something happened during this postseason. I'm responsible for our coverage out at the ballpark. Something fell through the cracks. I got questioned by our bosses at the New York Post about it. I said, that is my fault. I explained what happened and explain what I should have done, and it was mine. I don't see it as negative. I just don't see it as negative. We needed to have the fucking conversation about something that went uncovered.
Amen.
Like, we are generally, I think, a superb sports section, but we have to keep striving to stay at least at that level, if not get better. And when I'm in charge of something, when I fuck up, I don't see it as a negative to talk about the fuck up. I do not.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not. Now, again, Joe Girardi has decided with their mental skills coach, Real Butte, to that this will be the way they do it. By the way, I was shocked the Yankees were down 3-0. Why didn't they show Red Sox clips from 2004
Oh, my
again?
God.
That was such a good idea. Like, why wouldn't you just do it again? Or did something ease in after a while that you realized how stupid that fucking was?
So fucking stupid. So stupid.
So, okay. I also want to say this because we're kind of like off in a place that I'm concerned about not saying it. Aaron Boone is really a good guy. And I think his players really love him and want to win for him. And I think he created a vibe of that in the clubhouse where guys did want to win for each other. But still, there was yards not gone. It's one thing if Aaron Boone sits in a press conference and says the most ludicrous stuff to explain away what we all saw with our two eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. He has decided that. What I feel like isn't happening behind the scenes is a correction, not just to put your arm around. It's the first base coach putting his arm around Josh Donaldson when he starts pimping a homer that doesn't go out of the ballpark. Like, I would have fired the guy. Like, what do we do? We're joking around about this? Like, this was the 5th fucking time it happened. It's not a joking situation. This is the major leagues. We're not going for Dairy Queen afterwards and back to 4th grade on fucking Monday. This is the major leagues. What is the standard you are holding people to? If your public persona is going to be positive 100% of the time without a negative word being said about the players, okay, I think that's wrong-headed, and not just because it's bad business for me. I think it's bad business for you if you tell a player 10 times. I think you should tell a player, I got your back. But in the old days, the manager used to be held responsible for shitty play like this. We do it less now. I'm not exactly sure why we do it less, but this is the purview of the manager.
Well, we know why. We know why.
Because We believe that other things are going on above him. But I'm
Correct.
not talking about lineup cards. I'm talking about you're not hustling. That's a reflection on me. You're not well thought out on the field. That's a reflection on me. You embarrass me. I'm going to give you a strike or two. I'm not letting you get to 3. I'm not letting you get to 4. Then I'm going into the fucking press conference room and I'm going to say, I talked to player X 3 times about this, and it seems it is not as important to him as it is to me and the rest of his teammates that he does Y and Z well. I think that's fine. I think the Yankees and their current culture would say it's not. Fine. If that's what you say is good, it's good. But you then have to tell me that behind the scenes, you have told that guy what he is doing wrong, what he needs to do to correct it, and what the penalty is for not correcting it, and then hold to the penalty. If the penalty is not telling Ryan Sampson or Joel Sherman, sorry for that third-party reference, publicly what it is, then you better bench his ass. Or you better go upstairs to management and say, this fucking guy's got to be out of my clubhouse. There is a bad apple in here, and it's polluting the other apples. And I think they have tolerated, in exchange for talent and the comfort of positivity, they have exchanged that for a higher level of accountability when it comes to playing baseball well. And let me throw in, I realize I think I should say one other thing. We tend to beat up the teams that get this far as if they're the Chicago White Sox and just lost 121 games, right? The Atlanta Braves won, 14 straight division titles, 1 World Series. They're losers. The Buffalo Bills won 4 AFC titles in a row. They're chokers, right? We forget all the games that are needed. So the Yankees, as I said all year, are a team good enough to win a championship. The Yankees tell us it's championship or bust. That's the standard we should be held to. Why am I holding you to that standard? I'm holding you to that standard when it feels like you're not holding you to that standard. That's the standard you're telling us publicly. You don't like my negativity. I know this. I deal with these guys. They don't like my negativity. I get it. But my answer always is, you've told me you're an A student. When you start handing in C papers, it's a passing grade, but it's not good enough for an A student. I'm holding you to the standard you're telling me to hold you to. Why are you not holding you to this standard?
I don't know, man. That's well said, and that's where we've been these last, I don't know what you want to call it, 7-8 years since 2017.
And also that stuff from Cashman then doesn't hold water, where he's saying like, "Well, I feel the one against Houston was stolen." We got another shot at Houston in 19. You got another shot at Houston at 22.
22.
You've gotten shots at Boston. You've got a couple of times. You've gotten a shot at Tampa. You got a shot at the Dodgers. Like, where's like, at some point, I get it. You want to have the Pyrrhic victory and say they were cheating. It's yours. But like, you've had chances to say, okay, let us show you when it's an even field what it looks like.
So we're going to.
But against everyone who swings back with talent, your team loses. Look in the mirror at this point. What are you missing? What is missing here? Is it a player who is a higher IQ player? Is it manager and coaches that are holding it to accountability?
Yes.
Is it a minor league system where we're doing checks? Oh, we worked on cutoff plays today and we worked on bunting today. We are now done for the year or done for this month. But did you really show a film? I mean, look, if you were an NFL coach, wouldn't you right now be showing the play where the idiot defensive back is clowning around from the Bears, is clowning around and saying, this can never be us. We will waive you. Because we see stuff like this all the time. The guy who's crossing the end zone and drops the ball before he gets there. Cross the fucking line. Like, celebrate when you cross the line. What are you dealing with the crowd here? All this stuff happens in baseball. Like, it's old man on the lawn stuff. I'm a bat flip when the ball goes up. You want a bat flip? You want to crawl around the fucking bases? I don't care. The ball has to be out of the park. Once it's out of the park, you want to take 35 seconds? It's not my thing. I wouldn't love it, but I'm fine with it. But you've got to play baseball well.
Right. It's the controllables that you have.
Your joy has to be tied to what the score in the game and the final score are and winning. and not just fantasy camp for you that you're having a good time. And I would just make, like, I think one of the most important people on the Yankees this offseason needs to be their video guy, putting together a loop of plays from literally the first, and I'm not talking about ground ball to second booted because everybody boots a ground ball, but I'm talking about the pop up to second, that's this, and it's dropped, it's the Olay, it's the, like, what, Anthony Volpe going back to tag up the other day with 1 out to second base. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, it's this isn't the PhD class. This isn't that's baseball 101. You're scoring on you're Anthony Volpe. You're going to score on any single from second base anyway. Make sure that you score if the ball fucking lands out there. Now, they got away with it. They got to run, but I actually think Wells might have gotten a triple.
Oh, yeah.
They might have gotten 2 runs, right? Yep. But you know what the Yankees are really, the 2024 Yankees were good at? They loved giving you 90 feet on both sides of the ball, and so they gave 180 feet there. And they maybe gave up a run, and they maybe gave up the chance to get into the Dodger bullpen earlier or put more duress on it. And since this is a serial game, we play series all year and in the postseason, every extra pitch, every run, it matters. Do you care about winning? The philosophy of winning. What creates victory? It feels like it's we talk a good game again about winning, and we've decided the way to win only is to hit the ball out of the park and miss bat. Only. And again, I don't want anyone to misinterpret. You cannot win without those 2 qualities. You cannot win. So don't say analytics are terrible. Analytics have showed us the value of those skills at a higher level than ever. You're not winning anything without those skills. You got to be able to hit it out of the park and miss bats at a high level. But if you think that's the game and the only game in town, then the Dodgers are going to show up and it's going to be in your fucking nightmares forever.
Well said, Joel. Yeah, I mean, and I hope they don't go the extreme again, but I don't know where we go from here. Real quick before we get to Tommy here, in your honest opinion and what you're hearing.
Do I ever give less than that?
That's true. Boone's contract is up. Is this man?
He has an option year. He'll be back.
He's back?
I mean, I think that the Steinbrenner family loves Aaron Boone, and that it would probably be very tough. And I know the answer will be, well, Joe Girardi got the Yankees to Game 7 of the ALCS. I think it would be very hard in who I think Hal Steinbrenner is to say, a manager just got us to the World Series for the first time in 15 years. I'm not going to bring him back. Regardless. So that's why, like, I was funny. I was on a text with my friend this afternoon who, you think you're a crazy Yankee fan, like this guy, whatever. And he's like, Boone's got to be fired. I'm like, say I agree to agree with you. It's all wasted breath.
Yeah.
He's actually not going to be fired. I don't think so. And I don't think, like, when somebody says, well, you need to ride it. And I'm like, okay, like, I think I've made pretty clear here that I don't like how his team plays baseball. Like, am I holding back some punch about how I think the accountability and the on-field product look? I'm like, do I actually have to, like, to get sock puppets out to explain that I think there's real failure here at the highest level, and that if you thought that a managerial change needed to be made, I'd be like, I understand. I'm not saying I don't understand. I'm saying the guy who actually has that decision isn't going to make that decision.
Right.
So the next thing becomes, what are you going to do to provide information to this manager or support around him to create an atmosphere where stuff like this doesn't happen? I frankly think it's impossible with the current group. I don't see how it happens. I think this is who they are while they have these people. But I'm fallible. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's ways for Aaron Boone to grow into something a little tougher, something a little more historic to his family lineage about what baseball is. I dealt with his father. I know what his father would think, like, about some of this, I think. So I'm not confident that this will improve. But I'm also someone who figures I don't have a ton of time on the planet, and I'd rather not waste my breath on what won't happen, no matter how much I scream and put my thumb in my mouth. Though I guess if I screamed and I put my thumb in my mouth, that would hurt. But you know what I mean? Is like I think he's going to be back.
No, I hear you.
If I had even a scintilla of, Hal left the ballpark yesterday,
Right.
and I think he's in the kind of mood, like if his father were around, I'd go, of course.
Yeah.
But this is Hal is a pilot. He's an MBA. He plots things out long term, slowly, methodically, and in that way of thinking, he's like, we just made the World Series. We're a couple of steps away. Why would I guess at the next guy who could even get us this far? Well, I think that's how he'll think, besides the fact that him and his family like Aaron so much.
Yeah, my counterpoint would be you've done this now for, was it 6 years now, going on 7, and it hasn't worked. Like,
again, I don't think I'm hiding my feelings here.
No, I know. I'm just reiterating what I'm saying here as a fan, and this is the fan's perspective, right? Like, I know you've covered it, you know it, and I know you have your opinion of it, and you don't want to waste your breath on it. What I'm trying to say though is that if you're looking at this logically, what Hal and Brian Cashman, I guess, are trying to do at the same time, I don't care about liking someone. I care more about winning this whole thing. And that's ultimately, I think, what's getting them in trouble here is that they like Aaron Boone. They like the personality. They like the culture he's established. They like.
I think you're missing one other item, though.
Okay.
Or let me say, I think you're missing 2 other items.
It's that Brian Cashman doesn't have a pro scout at all.
It's that the firing is the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that Hal has high level of self-confidence that they'd run a great search, and again, then fire Brian Cashman, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Or that even if you ran a great search, like Brad Ausmus is the bench coach of the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
If you went to the Dodger people and said, whose baseball acumen do you have incredible high? This is the World Series champion, incredibly high regard for. They all would put Brad near the very top. Again, I talk to people in the sport all the time. I know what groups are thinking. They think the world of Ausmus. Ausmus, therefore, would be like, if he had never managed, would be the perfect guy to manage the Yankees. Except for these jobs are tougher than we'd think. Ausmus has managed twice and hasn't done it well. And so the problem always becomes the fire is easy, but then are you sure? Like if we thought about who the hot candidates were over the last 20 years, how many of them did the cha-ching and actually turned out to be good managers?
Mm-hmm.
There's not a ton of them, and therefore, and at this point, Dusty Baker is kind of like much older. I don't know that you could do that. Terry Francona just went to the Reds, and I wonder about his health, even holding on there for any period of time. So, like, if you're not going to get the kind of clear, proved it guy, then you're going to have to guess on another coach, Aaron Boone or Aaron Boone lane guy. And I think the Yankees are probably worried that the firing's easy, hiring the right guy is not, and that Aaron Boone helps land the plane at 90-something wins and gets them in the playoffs and never embarrasses them in a certain kind of way that they care about.
Yeah.
And they're fine with that. And they believe, is this arrogance again that you use?
Yeah.
That we will ultimately figure it out. And look, maybe they will figure it out. Until really recently, the Dodger reputation was they were arrogant and didn't know how to win in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And that they overthought it. Bullpen games and keeping Kershaw in or pulling him out or like openers and this. And you guys are just fucking nerds or whatever. Now they're state of the art. So maybe the Yankees are about to turn the page like the Dodgers and become that. Because I'm telling you, it was not that long ago. I've been in LA plenty when the Dodgers have been eliminated, and you should hear what they say about fucking Andrew Friedman when he gets eliminated, is if he's the dumbest guy in baseball when he's probably the smartest guy in baseball. So there is this anger that comes from fans, especially, certainly a lot of media places as well, at the moment of defeat. We always have the belief, the backup quarterback syndrome, the next guy's going to be better without actually knowing the next guy's better.
Okay. I mean, you could say that, but and you could say like, listen, Boone gives you the landing space of 90 wins. I'm
Don't
glad.
say me. I think I made pretty clear what I think
Okay,
about
sorry.
Aaron
That's
Boone.
what the Yankees think. And I'm
Yeah.
saying that to me is frustrating to hear because that is again acceptance and arrogance of this is who we are. We're okay with this and we're never going to get to that next step, but we're believing us because we think that we're the Yankees and we're going to get you there. When everything that we've seen on the field evidence wise shows that they can't get there, they're not going to get there, not with the current regime, in my opinion. I don't think Aaron Boone's a winning manager. I don't think Brian Cashman's got the moxie or the smarts or the wits to build a winning team anymore, in my opinion. Like
Well, this was a pretty winning team,
this is a
right?
pretty winning team. And to be frank, Joel, we relied on a couple of things that and you could point out to you got nothing out of your left fielder offensively, while defensively he was great. You corrected and went over again to the point of we're going to overcorrect left field. We're going to get one of the better gold glove left fielder defenders, but he's dog shit as an offensive player, mind you. He gave you absolutely nothing in this World Series and postseason. You relied on a rookie catcher to be your cleanup hitter most of the year. And you traded for Jazz Chisholm, who was playing out of position at third base while he gave you something sparking offensively. He's playing out of position. You force yourself into that hand. You pinch running for second baseman. There's just so many errors to this team that they don't want to.
You know, I could do this for Andrew Friedman also.
I
Right?
know you can. Listen, but this is
if I
the
wanted
Yankee.
to point out everything he did wrong, I could.
But
do
Andrew
that.
Freeman's also a two-time World Series champ now in the last 5 years, and that's something that the Yankees can't say they are. And for me, again, I just don't know if Aaron Boone's ever going to win a World Series.
Ended up like in this position. You've like thrown me. It's a very straw man argument, as if I'm actually defending the Yankees when I think I spent the first 50 minutes of the show destroying their culture
Yes.
and everything about it, and yet somehow you've decided you're the angry Yankee fan and I'm the man. And
No.
You're gonna tell this narc the way it is,
No.
as opposed to the reality of what I fucking said for the last hour.
I know,
Okay?
Joel.
But thank you for doing that.
Listen, I'm not pointing you. I'm saying this in general. I'm not saying this to you. I am angry, like you said, and that fifth inning will live in my memory forever. And it's going to live in Tommy's memory forever as well. There's still a lot to talk about here. The Juan Soto thing we haven't even addressed yet, but this is again, we want to appreciate all the fans that are watching the Pinstripe Post. This is the season recap here, the season end of season show. And we're going to keep talking about this. Let's bring in Tommy. How you doing, bud? How you feeling?
I mean, you go down 3-0, you kind of start mentally accepting it. So it didn't hurt as much as I don't know. It was weird because it's been like this for a couple days now, but I don't have a stat for you guys, just hoping to kind of fill in the cracks because you guys had a lot to break down. First one, Joel, have you ever seen anything like that fifth inning besides watching your kids in Little League? And I don't even know if your kids did play Little League, but any inning come to mind like that?
I mean, I'm sure there's something. I mean, the fact, this happened twice in the World Series. The gimpy left-hand hitter won Game 1 by hitting a home run to right field at Dodger Stadium, like Gibson and Freddie Freeman. And a guy named Mookie hit a squibbler on the first baseline in a game in New York, in a World Series game in New York, and kind of a little bit of a decrepit first baseman was standing there, and it kind of changed the World Series. Like, I think has there been more than two guys named Mookie who have played baseball? Like, the fact that they both hit kind of something that looked like this. I guess if you have enough like subsets of everything, we'll see some repeats after a while. But I mean, what the fuck? Yeah, look, I'll say this, Tommy. You asked it in that way. Ryan, I want to put it in your mouth. I think you used the word surprise at the beginning. I think you did. I've been doing counseling with a bunch of fans here.
As Joel hit his light off.
So
Joe's not over light.
Yeah, the light's quitting.
TV right now going on, but there we go. But in talking to them, they keep using that word awe, stun, shock. I wasn't. Now, the totality of it is different, but we watched this all year. Why wouldn't it happen? Why wouldn't it happen? It's like saying my my friend is a klutz, and then he trips and drops all the dishes, and you go, oh, I didn't see that coming. Really? Like, they have prepped us for 6-7 months that this was coming. It has come. The game one was lost stupidly. They just kept giving away 90 feet, and at some point, the Dodgers were too good not to take advantage of it. The Dodgers are too good. This isn't the AL Central anymore. You can't just keep giving it away. The Yankees gave it away, and the Dodger scouting report on the Yankees was they are talent over execution. Don't stop pressuring them. They will break and make mistakes.
I was interested in how you broke down that play at first base. If you had to split up the percentage blame on Cole and Rizzo, what would be the percentages there?
So I would put it. I know we're trying to do this. I just think they're both at 100% fault. I would
Yogi
say,
Berra in you.
And I would say yes. The math doesn't work. But each individual failed at 100%. If you're asking me who failed more, Cole has to be running to first base. Like, however fast Betts is or anything, you have to complete that play. Could I make a case that Rizzo is worried about a snaky ground ball, and they've had by the way, so many mistakes at first base this postseason. How many times did we do this in the earlier series where they just were not playing cleanly over there? So, like, Rizzo, as good a historic first baseman as he is he a little uncertain of himself right now and wants to make sure to look at? Still, if you see the freeze frame of where he catches it and where Mookie is at the moment the ball is in his glove, even this version of Rizzo, he makes the decision, I'm going to the bag. And if Cole is coming, I'm assuming nothing, because baseball is about doing everything right. I'm going to do the right thing, which is begin to move towards first base. If he begins to do that, I think Betts is going to be out. As close as whatever. Because, again, if you see the freeze frame, Rizzo has considerably less room to cover than Betts, as quick as Betts is. So I just think they both failed fundamentally at such a high level. If you're asking me who failed more, the pitcher always has to be breaking to first base to cover the bag. Always, 100%. Can't begin to talk about arrogant, right? If he's walking off the mound.
He was ready to fist bump. No doubt about it. He was wanting to strut off the mound, get to the dugout, and make that fist bump to get out of the inning. Yeah.
By the way, caught up in the moment. These are two of their most veteran players, two of their most thoughtful, heady players. But you are what you emphasize, even with your smart players.
That's why I was interested in how you broke that down, because like Cole 100% screwed up. Rizzo did feel the ball. Like you bring up the Buckner play. He 100% messed that play up. Rizzo at least fielded the ball. He didn't 100% mess that play up. Whereas like Cole on a ground ball to second base, the pitcher is taught to make your first couple steps to first base. Yes. Cole still didn't do it. So I thought, like, I guess if I were to do it, I'm not 80-20 I would put on Cole. Like that is, I think that is completely.
It was 2 outs. The last out, bad. You would have got out 5-0. The game would have been over, done.
We wouldn't be doing this show, and I'd be sitting in Los Angeles right now.
Well, I still would have pressured you into doing another show with me because it's before Game 6, and I'd be like, Joe, we have to do a show. The Yankees are the first team ever to climb out of a 3-0 hole to 3-2. I would have been there for you. Yeah, exactly. Excuse me.
Another one I've got, and this was a play that reminded me of you, Joel, because it's something that you have just brought up. I thought it was a play that you would have brought up all season long. Alex Verdugo is on second base. It was in the second inning, and there's a wild pitch that goes up the third baseline, and he doesn't advance to third on it. And of course, the last pitch of that at bat is then another wild pitch where he would have scored to advance to third. You didn't mention that. Was that something that?
So again, I'll give you one.
There's another run.
I'll give you another thing from the Dodgers scouting report. I might have mentioned it earlier, but they talked about how shitty the Yankee leads were. The leads they take. They specifically were not talking about second base, though they had some stuff on second base. On first base, they're like, whoosh.
They brought it up on the break.
Yeah, John Smoltz was killing Soto on it.
Soto was one step off the bag.
So I don't hear the thing.
Yeah.
But go deeper. Gavin Lux had knee surgery and missed last season. The Dodgers know he's shaky around the pivot. So the Padres, who know the Dodgers well, The Dodgers raved about the base running of the Padres. They said the Padres are the best base running team in the sport. Even after beating them, they had this great respect and how much pressure they put on the pivot over and over again. The Yankees, because of the short lead, you're allowing one of their iffy places. You're thinking about your iffy places. Gleyber Torres at second. Well, they have an iffy thing with Gavin Lux turning the double play. He sometimes gets a little yippy. He sometimes gets out of there quick. He's protecting a historic knee injury now. The Yankees are taking short leads. They're not taking good secondary leads off the pitch. They're not going to be in position to make the most of 90 feet. They are not going to. This is our theme for 7 months. They're not good at baseball. These are good at baseball things. These aren't just things I want to say. This isn't fans. This isn't reporters. This is the Dodgers.
But why aren't the Yankees scouts saying this to these guys? Why aren't they telling them?
Because, again, you are, 15th time, I promise I won't say it again. You are what you emphasize. And if all you do is check boxes like, hey, guys, we've got to get good leads. No. The Dodgers flew to New York after the game and did a workout at Yankee Stadium between games 2 and 3. The Yankees came in that day. They didn't work out. And they could say, we're 170-something games into the season. What workout? Dodgers went and played that field a little bit to know the field better, right? I bet you Mookie Betts took balls off the wall, right? I bet you they practiced some secondary lead stuff. That's the day to tell everybody to come in and work on something, even this late in the year. But I said I wouldn't say it again. You are what you emphasize. That's not what they emphasize is, we got the high-speed pitch machine set up underneath the stands. Let's go hit some high-speed pitches, which, by the way, you should absolutely do. But there's no reason why the Yankees can't order from both sides of the menu.
Another one I had, minuscule detail now, but should they have went to Luke Weaver to start that 8th inning? Were you surprised that he didn't get the 2 innings to end that?
So you know what we never know, Tommy? Did Weaver tell him, I got an inning for you tonight or something like that? Like, we don't know after he threw 20-ish, 24 pitches. What was it the night before? Did he do it? And and Boone is playing the devilish game of bottom of the lineup. My best good reliever who's rested is Canely. There's a couple of lefties here. Can I sneak this before I get back to Ohtani? If I get to Ohtani, I'll bring Weaver in. And by the time he gets to Ohtani, right, it's bases loaded, right? This is the problem, is you haven't snuck through the bottom of the lineup. I thought it was Weaver time, but I would argue game 1 was Weaver time for that 3rd inning more than this was, because we're at accumulation now. Weaver is further in a new job than he's ever done. You don't know which version you're going to get. I think he should have been. I first guessed it in the press box where I said, I think Weaver kind of needs to be here for these 6 outs because you're flying and you hope you get him restored after like a day.
Off day.
You know, like with all that. Yeah, that's what I meant by flying. And, but Canely has been good for them this postseason. It was the bottom of the lineup. I think he's trying. He knows he's asked a lot of Weaver, and he's praying, do I have Weaver for just the top of the lineup with the lead still in the 9th? Is it putting the cart in front of the horse? Perhaps. But he didn't bring in like Cousins, who had struggled in the postseason. He brought in a guy who had really pitched well. Now, again, this is accumulation. They've begun to see everybody. They've seen the change up a lot at this point. I hear it, and if you want to argue it, I'm with you. I think that the bit of information we don't have, which is how did Weaver feel, and did Weaver say, I can absolutely give you 6 outs? Because remember, Weaver comes in the game, he's been blowing people away. He does give up 2 relatively long sacrifice flies, right?
Sure.
Like it is not like it didn't feel like the Luke Weaver we had seen the night before. Then he lost his concentration in balks. Of course, the go-ahead run, one of the runs is helped along by catcher's interference because the Yankees can't help themselves but do stuff wrong as a baseball team. It's just who they are. But Yeah, I'm not sure you were going to get Luke Weaver yesterday or the one you liked.
Right, and then he broke down in the 9th inning where Lighters has to get the 2 outs. So yeah, maybe that ends up being the case. But I thought that was interesting. Another one, Juan Soto's comments after the game. Anything? Any takeaways from that?
Juan Soto, like everything that's been said this year on the Juan Soto thing, hopefully by fans. Oh, he loves the roll call. He loves playing here. Whoever gives him the most money will sign Juan Soto.
That was a world-class free agent thing last night by him.
Yeah, it's just better than wearing Boris Corp hat like Cole did.
Yep.
After the World Series in 19, but really what I expected. And by the way, he's now earned this right.
Mm-hmm.
He's played 6 years in the major leagues. It's hard to get to free agency. Most players don't. Well over 50% of players don't. He did. He's done it as one of the greatest players in the world. He has the right to decide. What I'm emphasizing is geography. What I'm emphasizing is family. What I'm emphasizing is legacy. Or what I'm emphasizing is who gives me 1 penny more. I'd like to set records there because I'm that kind of player. It's his right. And I do think Juan Soto cares about being a great historic player and getting to Cooperstown and being thought of not just as a Hall of Famer, but kind of a top-level Hall of Famer. I think that's probably easier to accomplish as a Yankee because of their history. Like, will Steve Cohen and David Stearns help turn the Mets into that kind of franchise like the Dodgers and Yankees? Maybe, but you're gambling on it. The Yankees are the Yankees. The ballpark plays to both his batting average and his power in a way that I'm not sure Citi Field or any place else would at that level. Though, of course, he's great. He'll hit for power and average anywhere. I think the Yankees are the right place for him. But I'm not sure the Yankees will have the high bid. I think if Steve Cohen decides he's going to be a Met, the Mets are going to have the high bid. And I would therefore think that if that's their mindset, that there's a very good chance he ends up there.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Last one. Never saw you tweet about it, Joel. I could have missed it. Thoughts on the fan ripping the ball out of Mookie Betts' glove?
Yeah, fans can't touch players. There's not a lot. And this was premeditated. Hey, we were going to play defense if a guy came in. It's unacceptable. This isn't roll the ball. You're there. You want to, you know me, I don't even understand booing that much. But fine. You want to cheer. You want to boo. You want to scream. Do whatever you want. You can't physically contact the players. I mean, think about how that could have gone. I mean, he's kind of like hanging there for a second. Like, can you imagine if, like, he broke a finger, he broke his wrist, he broke his fractured his elbow, something. Like, the Dodgers would have had a right to walk off the field at that point. Like, what's going on? It's there again, you're either fixing it or condoning it. Like, there is no other gray area. There's no gray area. The world is a dangerous place in a lot of these things. I don't know what you're bringing to the ballpark. I don't know your sanity. You can't touch the ball players. You can't. You're here to watch the movie. You're here to watch the play. You're here to watch the concert. You're here to watch the ball game. You're not here to be a participant. Do not touch the players. Period. Zero. Nothing else. Can't.
That's what I got, guys. Look,
right.
I guess just the last, Boone did end up saying that Luke Weaver, not going to Luke Weaver for that 3rd inning in game 1 was what he was tossed up most about rather than Nestor versus Tim Hill.
Yes.
I'm glad that's what he's going to think about. Thank you, Tommy.
Yes, no problem.
Joel, you answered the big thing about Juan Soto there. So, I don't want to do too much about off-season stuff here because we did hit the Boone thing. But going forward, this team, we all said it all year long, especially on the show, the all-in factor, right? Like they were all in both financially and physically as a team. They put the talent together. Where does this go from here? And I know that's a loaded question. That's a big question. That's hard to answer at this point. But for you in the immediate right now, what if you were Brian Cashman, what are they circling right now saying this is what we have to do to correct this and get that world championship?
Yeah, what we spent about an hour talking about today. They got to emphasize and really emphasize, bring in the right kind of coaches, etc., and the mindset of not just kumbaya, that we're holding each other accountable to the way they play baseball. So I think they have to acquire that during the offseason. If you're looking for a trade and something they need to obtain that. I'm not sure. By the way, that doesn't cost you a player. It doesn't cost you tons of money, except for some coaches maybe. It's about will and emphasis. Will they have the will and emphasis and belief that that's important, or will they be, hey, we just got to the World Series, go fuck yourself. Like, there were two teams standing, you're overemphasizing being the team that lost when there was two teams standing. I think that's as likely to happen as anything. On the Soto front, I think there's two pathways to this offseason. One is they sign Soto, in which case I think because I do think Hal Steinbrenner is kind of going to try to like keep the payroll neutral or drive it down under $300 million. I think that means like Jason Dominguez in right, maybe Ben Rice at first, going on the secondary starter or relief market, so no Tanner Scott or something like that. That would be my expectation if that happened.
If they sign Soto, you're saying?
If they sign Soto.
Okay, and you meant Jason Dominguez in left. I just want to make sure that was right because you said you said it in right. I just want to make sure he's going left field. Okay,
Dominguez in left. If they sign Soto.
If they sign Soto, Soto will be in right, and you're saying Judge would stay in center.
I'm assuming for at least one more year. Like I think in their greatest dream, do they figure out a way, and it would take Judge to his mid-30s, while the Stanton contract's here, can they live with Soto in right and Judge in center? Because, it's funny, there was so much backlash against Soto being nominated as one of the three guys for the AL Gold Glove. The reality is the Gold Glove right fielder in the American League plays center field for the Yankees. He's a Gold Glove. He's an okay center fielder.
He's a great right fielder.
He's a Gold Glove right fielder. So, like, and the reality is, if they don't re-sign Soto, then do they shift Judge there and put Dominguez in center?
Center, yep.
One of the things that they need to do, you want to show me you're serious about being a good baseball team. Tell Jason Dominguez, when the early guys start showing up in December, come here. And we're going to work on defense every day. What happened to Jason Dominguez on defense? You need to make Jason Dominguez a good defensive player wherever he's playing. Show me there. And not just checking boxes. Hey, we hit 20 fly balls. We played 6 off the wall. Where it's game situation. You're showing film to him how a guy in the major leagues who does it right, how a guy who does it wrong. Again, I keep going to Mookie Betts, and I realize he's 1% of the 1%. Watch how Mookie Betts spins after playing a ball off the wall. That is a pirouette he has practiced over and over and over again so that he can release the ball quickly, gather it, spin, release, one hop to a bag. He has practiced it over and over again. Jason Dominguez needs to be doing that as much as he needs to be swinging a bat this offseason, because he's going to play someplace next year by the way, like, you have to have a lot of hopes and dreams there that he's not back at AAA on May 17th.
Oh, yeah.
That he's a good player.
And he's healthy.
And he's healthy and ready to help you. So the secondary thing is, if they don't re-sign Soto, it becomes a trickier pathway. I think you'll hear things about Pete Alonso. I'm not really sure about that. If you have Pete Alonso and Giancarlo Stanton on the bases, you're about 6 hits away from scoring a run. And I think that they'd be going back to a Luke Voitish problem with a much better player than they had a couple of years ago. I think the game is getting more athletic, as we see with the Dodgers, and I would stay away from non-athletes.
Freddie Freeman was legging triples with a bad ankle out there, man.
Freddie Freeman's a great athlete. And so I'm not sure about like the Pete Alonso, but it becomes tougher. Teoscar Hernandez is a really good hitter, but he's not a very good fielder. The same for Anthony Santander, is not a very good fielder, but he's a very good hitter. It's hard to find. Go look at potential center fielders available. Not easy to find where you say, okay, I'll live with Dominguez in left and Judge in right because I could find this center fielder. Third base, not very easy to find if you just want to move Jazz to second, which is probably the right move. Alex Bregman, do you believe that outside of the Crawford boxes, like if he's suddenly playing in Yankee Stadium, how many home runs does he hit? And by the way, there goes a guy whose baseball IQ I love and his competitiveness I love, but it's probably going to take 6, 7, 8 years to get him. You're going to see a very small guy age into his late 30s. So it's part of whatever they offer Soto is about the opportunity cost elsewhere, which is, and look, I'll do one more self-referential thing, and hopefully everyone will forgive me for it. After the 21 season, I think it was, right? The lockout is 22, whatever it is. The first column I wrote that when the Yankees are eliminated is whatever they do, they should do everything to sign Corey Seager and Freddie Freeman.
Oh, God.
Who, by the way, are the last 2 World Series MVPs. But my point was they were extremely good baseball players. Again, like I wasn't just dealing with, like I thought the Yankees needed to get more left-handed. They were arrogant about that for a long time where it's like, oh, no, it's about the best players. It isn't about lefty-righty. Our righties hit righties. And I'm like, are you watching the playoffs? These righties are coming in and buzzing through your guys. But I thought Seager and Freeman, they were already postseason proven guys without winning, though Seager had won a World Series MVP already. He just won his second. But lefty, postseason proven, all-around good players, all-around good hitters with power like Soto.
They didn't want to pony up for those guys.
And they played the penny-wise, pound-foolish luxury tax game, which is how you end up stretching Aaron Hicks over 7 years. It's how you end up stretching DJ LeMahieu over 6 years. Instead of just pay for what you think they're worth over the period you think you should pay for it. So now you have dead money, 1 more year with Hicks. You probably are looking at 2 years of dead money on LeMahieu.
Oh, is he not coming back?
Well, I mean, whether he comes back or not, unless you think he's hopping it. Ponce de Leon actually found the Fountain of Youth someplace.
I mean,
so you're either paying him to play poorly, unless there's some baseball miracle about that.
Again, arrogance tells me that they're going to be committed to bringing him back because they don't.
Well, I don't know. Again, like I think sometimes we throw arrogance. I think like they probably want to take one more look at it before they say absolutely not. Can we try an off season of Pilates or whatever you want to try, right? So I think there's that. I think there's a lot of positions that they'll need to fill if Soto doesn't come back, because they have to do it then at a higher level than just Dominguez and Rice and whatever. And they're not easy to fill. And I think I think that's why they'll go to an uncomfortable place with Soto, I think, in an offer. And yet it's Steve Cohn. If it's Steve Cohn, who we saw offer the same as the Dodgers on Yamamoto, who had never played in the major leagues, and yet he was willing to spend, because with the tax, it would have been almost $400 million on him because he was 25.
Yep.
Well, Juan Soto's 25. So, and he's proven he could do this. So when people say, well, that isn't David Stern's model, I'm like, David Stearns was in charge last winter, and they offered $400 million for Yamamoto, all in with the tax, with the fees for the the fees for the the posting fee.
Yeah.
To the Japanese team, not to mention what it did to their tax overage, which he made it even more money. So if he was willing to do that for Yamamoto, my suspicion is to take this guy away from the Yankees, he'd do that. So I think the Yankees have to brace for plan B. And I know this will be a lot of our off-season shows when we do off-season shows, but I'll say this is part of the key with Soto has to be timing, which is you don't want to get dragged into late December or early January. Then he goes to the Mets and other things have come off the board. So I think, and by the way, I think in the case of Soto, like people like Scott Boras would rather make a splash at the winter meetings, which is like the end of the first week, beginning of the second week in December. Remember, when he has great players he could do it with, he signed on consecutive days Strasburg, Cole, and Rendon at one winter meetings in 3 days for gigantic contracts. I would think Soto happens at the winter meetings or soon afterwards, like it all kind of comes to a boil, and then 2 days later he signs. But the fear for the Yankees would be getting dragged. Like now it's January 7th, and he's decided to sign with, pick your team, the Phillies, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Giants, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, wherever. Like a lot of teams will probably have a lot of interest in him. I would think it's going to come down to New York, but in case it doesn't. And now what do you do on January 7th? Because you've invaded your system a lot to make trades these last few years. I'm not even sure who positionally on the trade market would move a needle if you wanted to make a trade.
I mean, I have one idea that comes to mind that's probably too crazy to even mention right now, and I don't know that this team would do it. And this is a guy that I think was made to be a Yankee, and they made a mistake by never going after him. It's Bryce Harper.
Yeah, I don't. No, I think Philly's all in.
No, I know.
I think Philly might try to sign Soto,
Yeah.
as opposed to move Harper, and Harper is the owner's guy.
No, I know. I'm just
So
that
don't
was
think that's
yeah.
I like there's things I'll open my imagination to.
Yeah.
John Middleton is in it to win it. For a while, that's the owner of the Phillies, so I can't imagine that happening. I just think the Yankees have a much tougher road, and having said that, they create some real structural, short-term, and age-related long-term issues if they keep Soto. I mean, let's save it for another day.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a long time. They should absolutely prioritize. I want to be clear. They should absolutely prioritize trying to re-sign Soto. But talking about him and right and Judge in center and Dominguez in the big left field, already not a very good defensive outfield. Like, what does that look like without Verdugo in it? Like, the overall player, Dominguez, might end up being better, but your defense is worse. Judge a year older. Remember, Judge was fully healthy all year this year. Judge a year older. Soto's routes to the ball. So they need to re-sign Soto. It is short-term structural issues as long as Stanton's on the team, and long-term age issues as things and money, as long as this is the ownership group and it's not some super rich guy beyond the baseball who might take a payroll up to 350, 375, 400, like we've seen Cone do. So, yeah, I think those are for other days. But we're already on to the off season, right? And the Yankees have had in their possession all year the prize of this off season. And unless you will see some craziness if Roki Sasaki gets into the market, if Chibalote decides to post him.
Right. I mean, I think we can imagine he's going to be probably either a Dodger or a Met, not a Yankee. I just don't see how
No, I think the Yankees will have been on this guy for 10 years.
But so have the Dodgers and so have the Mets, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. But look, we're really in overtime here. I mean, I wrote a column. Okay, say this is fuck it. I'm not gonna say it. I wrote a column the other day, and one of the things I pointed out in a column that had to be written before the game, so before we knew the knowledge of what happened in a game. So you're trying to find subject matter that isn't impacted by the game, but we do have an early edition of the paper, and we do have website responsibilities. Was about who should throw out first pitches at ball games, and they really blew a chance the other day. They had Matsui. Tanaka was in the ballpark.
I know.
Why not have Tanaka throw to Matsui? Like, the ratings in Japan were record. 1 in every 10 televisions in Japan was watching the World Series, which is starting at 8 a.m, mind you. And the Japan World Series, the Japan Series, is going on at night. And they're still doing that. I was told by every Japanese reporter I asked, and it wasn't 1 or 2, it was 10. They told me Ohtani is the most popular person in Japan, and that his dog Decoy is the second most popular mammal behind his owner in Japan. So, like, the Dodgers already have this huge advantage with Ohtani, and it's part of the reason Yamamoto went there. I thought the Yankees should have reminded everyone. Remember when we used to be this team? We got Matsui. We got Tanaka. By the way, they were both great Yankees. They were both great October Yankees. So you could succeed here. Would you like to continue that lineage? I thought they had that subliminal chance to tell another country that, and maybe even remind this country that, but certainly with 16 million people watching in Japan, I would have had that as the first pitch. But that would have taken some thoughtfulness.
Joel,
and I know how tough it was because Tanaka was in the ballpark.
Did you know he was going to be there? Because I think a lot of us were surprised. Everyone on social media was like, "Holy shit, Tanaka's in the stands," and he's just taking a selfie. Remember, like, he looked like he was just chilling in the stands. Like, I'm going to go to a baseball game. Like, Yankees had no idea he was going to be there.
Wheel out AJ Burnett.
Listen, Joel, this has been fun. I cannot appreciate you enough for giving us your time and effort and energy and thoughtful and careful analysis and all of what you said and what you've reported with us and having these discussions with the two crazy Yankee fans that work at the Post. And this has really turned into something, and we're looking forward to continue to do this and evolve and bring this show to new heights. And I can't say thank you enough. And we're looking forward to seeing these coming months as the Yankees move their way into the 2025 season. But it still leaves a sour taste in your mouth in the way that this ended. And maybe they can turn it around in 2025 and take that final step into that championship. But until then, Joel, thank you.
Yep.
And we appreciate you, man.
Thanks to you and Tommy. And I don't want to let it go with our first regular season done. I hear from you, who I absolutely trust, that our numbers have gone up steadily this year. So thank you. You know, you send this stuff out into the void, and you hope people like it. Where we are at the mercy of our readers, our viewers, our listeners, and for those of you who have made this part of your week, or in some of these cases now multiple times a week during the postseason, I'm comfortable speaking for the three of us saying we truly appreciate taking on a new project and then seeing, oh, people watch it, people care, people respond. So thank you to you two, and mainly, though, thank you for all the people who've tuned into this and made it part of their habit.
Amen. We're all passionate, and we hope we see that and we convey that to all of you watching. And we're looking forward to doing this as we continue to move forward here. Joel, you're the man. Thank you so much as always.
All right. All the best.